Well, hello and welcome to Wildcat Week. I'm Roger Alcock. Now, the Wildcats men's basketball team traveled up to Grace College on Tuesday evening and came away victorious in a very tough matchup against the Lancers. The head coach of the Wildcats, Greg Tonagel, is here to join us in studio to talk about that game. And, Coach, I guess we've been around long enough to know anytime you get a win on the road in conference, that's a good day.
Yeah, people are like, hey, you guys didn't win by that much. And I'm thinking, first off, this is a crossroads.
Yeah.
Second, that's a pretty good Grace team. I don't think their record's very indicative of the type of team that they are. They took us to overtime at our place. I was pleased with the way we played. We withstood their rally a couple times in the first half and the second half. And like you said, found a way on the road.
You mentioned a rally that they made. They had to rally because both in the first half and the second half, you had 11-point leads. And I always thought that that's a key on the road is if you're playing from, obviously any game playing from ahead, but especially on the road, if you're playing from ahead, it's so much better than trying to come from behind on the road.
Oh, man, it is. And when you get that lead on the road, there's a level of confidence that you gain from it because the crowd's stacked against you, unfamiliar environment, but somehow you gel together. And that's what I saw our team do. We stuck together the entire night.
We're going to take a look at some highlights of this game, and boy, there was a whole lot of Kyle Mangus and Evan Maxwell in this game. Kyle, 27 points in this one. Evan Maxwell, 23, so they combined for 50 or 81 points. But when you've got that duo going, it's not a bad combo, is it?
Kyle's a pretty special player, and I think going home probably motivated him a little bit. And we got off to a great start, and that's been a key of ours recently is getting off to better starts. We'd struggled with that early in November and December.
Well, talk about getting ahead or playing from ahead. We saw Kyle hit the three, and then Kanyon hit the three. Kanyon only had 7 points this game, but that three early, I thought, that's a nice little boost right there.
Yeah, I mean, anytime as your shooter, if you can get off to a good start, it usually propels you the rest of the game.
You talked about Kyle going home and playing at home, and I got to believe for any player a chance that they have to go to their hometown in front of maybe some of the fans that watched them when they were younger play. That's got to give them a little extra motivation.
Yeah, I mean, they had a big crowd, and I think a lot of them were there to watch Kyle because regardless of if he's on the opposing team or not, he's a great kid, a great young man. He had done a lot at Warsaw High School, so I think a lot of people were there to support him.
You know, you talked about Grace, and obviously highlights are always offense, but I was going to ask you, a really nice break, and of course, Brandon Smith finishes as good as anybody, but what did you feel about your defense that night? Because Grace is a team that can really put up some points.
Yeah, for the most part, I was pretty pleased with our effort. We held them to, I think, 40% shooting for the game, which had to be one of their lows of the year. We didn't let their shooters get as hot as they had been. They come into the game with the kid's name is eluding me for them, but he had been one of the hottest players in the league. It was Warner. And,
yeah.
He had some points, but I thought we made him really work for those points. And that's what Grace presents such a great challenge is they can spread you out and they can really shoot the basketball. And we never let them really get going.
Well, in the second half, obviously you had some really good success, going inside. You guys really didn't shoot a lot of threes on the night, only 13 three-point attempts. Had a lot of success keeping the ball in the post, and not just to Evan, but to some other guys.
Yeah, and that wasn't intentional. We just somehow only shot 1 3 in the second half. And I liked our mentality of going inside.
Well, I've always felt that, in the game of basketball, sometimes, the game has moved away from the basket so much, but, getting it inside, it's a kind of a tough man's game in there sometimes, and so it's good to see that willingness to do that and the execution.
Yeah, there's different ways to get it inside. It doesn't always have to be force-fed in. It doesn't always have to come from the block, and I think our team's done a good job of finding a variety of ways to do that. So whether it's Evan in the high post or Grant Smith or Kyle Mangus driving downhill, we've got a variety of ways to get it inside.
I think that was Seth inside. I was going to ask you how the freshmen is coming along. Is this the part of the year where you're no longer a freshman, or are they still kind of?
I like to tell them they're not. You've been through a round of the Crossroads League. You've grown up some. You're familiar with the school. Now it's time to take it to that next level. And freshman year's a hard year, but I feel like our guys are coming along and they're getting better as the year goes on.
The reason I ask is because now you're 21 games into the season, and for most guys, that is their season in high school. I mean, they might make a little run in a postseason, but 21 games is kind of the extent of what they've known.
Yeah.
And so now you kind of really do find out from those new guys, their conditioning and how, kind of their mental toughness maybe as much as anything.
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head right there. It's a long, grinding season. It's far more physically demanding and mentally demanding than high school. And we got to do a lot to keep them from hitting that wall and positioning them for success.
That play, I know Kyle finishes it with the dunk there, but he just does things so sneaky well. I mean, he's got two guys on him. Somehow he comes away with the catch and the ball and splits them. And it's like, he doesn't look like this phenomenal athlete, but he just so heads up, I guess.
He's got a feel, and it's probably the best way to describe him. And he just knows how to play, and it's fun to watch when he's playing.
Well, again, great win on the road. Now, this past weekend, you guys traveled up to Huntington. We want to talk about this performance by Grant Smith. Helped us secure the win there, but in the process, as far as we know, the first triple-double in program history. And it was good to see Grant kind of have this kind of a breakout game.
Yeah.
You don't get a triple-double unless you're like really working pretty hard on both ends of the floor.
You got to be doing a lot,
Yeah.
and to get one in a college game, and to get one in 27 minutes too. He
Right.
only played 27 minutes, so hats off to Grant because that was a tremendous game that he played.
And we need Grant Smith coming down the stretch to kind of like play like he was last year in terms of just the energy, the production, and the enthusiasm, the leadership. And it's been a bit of a transition for him coming off the bench. Now he starts, and I'm excited to see how he kind of plays for you guys down the stretch.
Yeah, I think he's coming into his own. It's been a transition. Sometimes that sophomore year is, and Grant's stuck with it. And I think he's playing his best basketball as we turn into January and February.
And he's sneaky athletic too. We all know. We've seen some of the ways he finished. He is so much stronger than he looks.
He's a finisher.
Yeah.
He knows how to control his body and focus on the basket and the rim. Like,
highlight, follow-up dunk right there.
what a play.
Outstanding play. And again, with you got to get the double-digit assist right there. So that's playing with your heads up.
Yeah. He's a heady, smart player. And he's an X factor for us.
Yeah.
When Grant's playing well, our team goes to another level.
We want to talk a little bit about this game at Huntington because that is not an easy place to play. A lot of times there's been a lot of good ball games. And for whatever reason that day, offensively especially, and probably in defensive end too, but you guys were just on fire. And maybe I was a little bit surprised with the blowout nature of that victory, but because you just expect, going to Huntington, it's going to be a little bit more of a battle than that. But still a great performance all around by that team.
Yeah, you don't ever expect in the Crossroads League to run away with a blowout victory, especially at Huntington, as they've played us very well there. So it was also a moment for our team, I think, to finally play a complete game, 40 minutes. We've been asking for that, and to see this team's potential realized, it's a pretty good feeling in coaching.
Well, again, Coach, congratulations on a couple big wins, and next up is Marion, so that should be a real barn burner on Saturday, as long as the weather holds up, but it should be a great game. Well, again, the next game for the Wildcats is Saturday against the Knights of Marion University. Game time is a 3 p.m. tip-off. It should be a really good basketball game. Well, when we come back, we'll take a look at the women's basketball matchup against the Lancers of Grace as we talk with the head coach of the Wildcats, Ethan Whaley. Well, welcome back to Wildcat Week. We're going to talk some women's basketball now. The women's team played up at Grace College on the road last night, and the head coach of the Wildcats, Ethan Whaley, is here with us to talk about really a hard-fought but a really nice win on the road. And Coach, much like the men's team, talking to Coach Tonagel a few minutes ago, but anytime you go on the road, in conference, you get a win, you got to be really happy with that result.
Yeah, especially when you're at Grace. I don't know what it is about that place, but it just feels like the shots don't always fall. And things, if they can go wrong, they do, it feels like, in that place. And last night, there was a balance where there were spurts where it felt like, man, we can't hold on to the ball or we can't make shots. But for a large part of the game, man, I thought we really controlled the tempo. I thought we did a terrific job owning the paint. Our shooting percentage indicates that, man. We were playing inside out, offensive rebounds. We owned that area, and I think over 40 minutes, that was the difference in the game.
And now with Ann Seacrest out for the year, which of course is a huge blow to you guys, but you still got games to play. So you have Dayton Groniger now, who has stepped into the starting role and kind of back in her hometown. She had a whale of a night for you. And of course, everyone's going to know the 20 points, but she's been one of your better rebounding people on the floor and doing a lot of good things for you. So it was great to see her have a big night there at home.
Yeah, Dee has been somebody that has come up with big rebounds, and that was something that when her and I met, and when I said, you're starting, and here's the role that I need you to fill, Ann was averaging 7 rebounds a game, so we got to pick those up somewhere. So Dayton's come in, her toughness continues to get better every single day. Her consistency continues to get better. We know she can put points up in a hurry, but consistency has been the journey for her, and last night she was really, really good on both ends of the floor.
Well, how important was it for you guys, obviously after a couple tough losses in the conference, to get off to a good start here? And you did in that first quarter. You took an 18-11 lead in that first quarter, but that, I would think, would have to be key, or one of the keys.
Yeah. I mean, we got off to a really good start early. Our first quarter I loved. I thought, again, we played at the pace we wanted and we set the tone. In that second quarter, we had some turnovers, some quick shots that allowed Grace back in the game. Their pressure kind of sped us up. We were able to weather the storm and go up 2 going into the half. I think we finished the second quarter on an 11-5 run. And in the second half, we controlled the tempo, controlled the paint, and that was the difference in the game.
What about Margot? We've already seen her not going a couple threes we haven't talked about, but there she hit another 3 and not playing like a freshman, I don't think, anymore, obviously. Led the team at 25 points. But what I love about her game is just kind of the fearlessness with which she plays and the aggressive nature. And she's not going to shy away from taking on responsibility.
No, and the cool part is, Rod, she wants that responsibility, whether she should or not. Sometimes it's kind of like, a freshman doesn't know better, and sometimes she doesn't, but she never makes a mistake because she's passive. The only ones are because she's fearless and she's aggressive. And over the course of a game, over the course of the season, if that's your mentality, you're going to make a lot more good plays than you are bad. So we're so proud of her, and she just continues to grow.
And credit Grace in that second quarter, they did put a little run in at you and whittled that lead down. But throughout the game, it would seem you had good responses from different people, and they would put a little run at you.
Yeah. I think obviously Dayton and Margot stuffed the stats, but I thought Elena and Nicole were really good down low. I thought Carly Lang maybe played her best game of the year so far. She did everything. She scored, she finished down low, she had several assists, she had rebounds. I mean, she was kind of the X factor for us, and if we're going to be any good moving forward, she's got to continue that.
Yeah, you mentioned Elena just a minute ago. 8 points, but 8 rebounds, 6 of those offensive boards. And why, she can really be a difference maker. She doesn't have to score 1,000,000 points for you, but she can really impact the game.
She continues to produce, and the biggest ingredient in her success is just toughness. She's tougher than everybody she plays against, and our team feeds off of that.
That was a really nice look inside to Nicole, who finished, and you got some things going inside. Not all just off the typical post entry, but different players doing some good things that kind of help free up the outside.
Yeah. I mean, when you can play inside out, and again, Carly and Dayton catching the ball in the middle, their decision making was impeccable. And that was the key to our success. When they needed to shoot it, they shot it. When they needed to put it down low, they got it there. When they went to kick out, they made the right pass. And over time, when you make great decisions, you put yourself in a position to win the game.
What about defensively for your squad? It's not, Grace is a team that can score a lot of points, and pretty happy with your defensive effort?
Yeah, I think it's much like our offense. There were spurts where I was really pleased with our defense, and then there were spurts where I felt like we gave them foot angles and allowed them to get going downhill, and it put our bigs and our help side in a really tough position.
Then they tried to pressure you a little bit, and I like what Dayton can do in the open floor with the basketball. She can shoot it, or she can put it on the deck, she can pass it. That's not a bad person to have, against some pressure.
Again, her MO is when she's playing well, she's not thinking, she's just playing off instinct. So last night I felt like she got the ball in space a lot, and we were able to give her those opportunities, and she produced and did exactly what we needed her to do.
Well, Coach, again, another big win on the road. It moves you guys to 14-7 overall, 7-2 in the conference play, so right in the thick of things with the conference. But it doesn't get any easier, that's for sure. You return home, but you take on the Knights of Marion University. They're as good as anybody in the conference, maybe as good as anyone in the country. So you guys have your work cut out for you. But what a great opportunity on Saturday to get back to action and see what you can do against a really good basketball team.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. Marion is so good, and the thing that makes them like winning the league every year, caliber, national championship caliber every year is they collectively believe that they're going to win every possession. There's never a sense of doubt or fear, and you love that mentality. And we told our team today, if we're going to have a chance to win, we've got to have that same belief and that same mentality going into this game. So we're going to let the chips fall where they may, but it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a dogfight, and we're really excited for Saturday.
Well, again, without Ann, it's just that time of year, injuries do happen, but you just have to rely on other people to step up, step in, and kind of help carry the load, don't you? And one person, it really isn't going to kind of replace what she can provide you, so it's going to be a team effort.
Yeah, I mean, Ann is such a dynamic player, such a versatile player, and such an incredible personality on our team. So that is a major, major loss, but every team goes through it. Every team in the country's got a banged up ankle or a knee, or maybe they're sick, whatever. So there's no excuses. It's just next man up, and everybody's got to do their part to fill in and do the job that they're called to do to get it done.
Well, again, Coach, thanks for stopping by, and good luck against the Knights. And as we said, the women's basketball team will be back in action on Saturday against the Knights of Marion University. Game time is a 1 p.m. tip-off in the Lucky Arena. Well, when we come back, Mikala Woodfork will bring us the breakdown, and we'll talk with head track and field coach Caleb Snyder as that team approaches the Indiana Wesleyan Invitational. Well, welcome back to Wildcat Week. As you know, there are so many different things in the world of sports going on around this campus. So to get a closer look, we send it to Mikala Woodfork with this week's breakdown.
Thanks, Roger. Women's swimming were at the two-day Center Colonial Classic this past weekend. The Wildcats finished in third behind NCAA Franklin College and Center College. Sydney Darnell placed first in the 200 IM and the 100 free, and Emma Travis placed second in the 50 free and the 100 free. It was a great start to being back in the water after almost a whole month off. Two big games for Wildcat basketball as both the women and men's teams face Huntington University. Unfortunately, the women were not able to walk away with the win, but Dayton Groninger started this game for the first time in her career and led the Wildcats with 19 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist. The men, however, beat Huntington 105-69. Man, Evan Maxwell scored 15 of his 20 points in the first 8.5 minutes. And Grant Smith, let me just tell you, the guy was on fire. He made program history by getting the first triple-double in the last 15 years with 10 points, 13 rebounds, and 10 assists, all in 27 minutes. He was also 3 of 3 from the field and 4 of 6 from the free throw line. What a victory. Well, that's all I have for you this week on The Breakdown. Back to you, Roger.
Well, we've been talking a lot of basketball here on Wildcat Week, but more spring sports are starting up right around the corner. The indoor track and field season is almost underway, and here to talk a little bit about that is the head coach of the Wildcats, Coach Caleb Snyder. And Coach, it is cold and blustery and miserable outside here in central Indiana. Yeah. So it's a good thing we have Troyer Fieldhouse to go inside and run.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
For old timers like me, indoor track and field really wasn't in vogue per se. Not many schools had a facility capable of hosting events and having that, but that has really become a huge and very important aspect of an overall track and field program, hasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, not only to take what we've done in the fall and kind of continue building that base and prep us for outdoor, but as far as the overall competitiveness of indoor in general, I mean, you can just look at the number of indoor facilities there are now in the state of Indiana, and it's like 12 or 13, which is growing. Indoor track and field is getting more popular, more competitive, but it is still kind of that launch into outdoor is kind of the goal.
And for you as a coach, it's really important for you and the rest of your coaching staff with young runners, people new to the program, freshmen, to get a chance to take a look at them indoors and see maybe what you have to work with and maybe what you can yet improve upon before you get into the outdoor season. Exactly.
Yeah, we've got a lot of potential with this freshman class, but a lot of unknowns. And so we know we've got some talent here and there, but where we end up with them and what events they end up doing at the end of outdoor, how they contribute at our league championship, that kind of stuff is still to be determined. So,
for those who aren't familiar, obviously you're indoors. Some of the events look a little bit differently. Some of the sprints are a little bit shorter, but you still have relays. You're not going to have some of the field events, though you might see. Probably not a good idea for a javelin if you're going across there, but similar but some differences, I guess you could say. You had mentioned a league championship even, or a competing league. That's another difference in that with the growth of the indoor aspect of the sport, now for the second year, the Crossroads League will have a conference championship indoor meet. So it really gives you and your athletes something to look for, to strive for, and to compete for. And that's I guess has to kind of help to energize this team.
Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does. And we won the men's indoor title last year, and women got second. And so we hope to kind of get first and first, ideally. That's the goal always. But our men's cross-country team finishing second in the country sure will help us out with that. And it's interesting when you go over to the women's side, Taylor's women finished second in the country. And so, it's kind of that reverse deal there. So it'll be a tough battle either way, but it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
You mentioned, obviously, Indiana Wesleyan and Taylor, two teams who have historically been very good in track and field. Maybe what other teams in the conference do you anticipate maybe being in that upper half without any surprises, maybe if someone makes a big leap? But who are the other teams that could make a run at it?
Bethel, for sure, on the men's side. Marion has always given us a challenge on men and women. Last year, outdoor championship, we lost to Marion by only 6 points. And the year before, we lost to their women by 4 points. So, I mean, they always find a way to put things together. And Spring Arbor's rising up, and actually Huntington, St. Francis, all those other schools, Mount Vernon, they're all really pushing it and growing like crazy. So it'll be a good league championship this year.
If people look at the schedule and say, I'd love to come out and watch a little bit of that, there's certainly a spectator area. But on the schedule, it is for Saturday. But because of the potential inclement weather, I think they named this storm, giving it a name or something like that. But this has been moved to Friday. So, in fact, we'll be running on Friday night, not Saturday.
Correct. Yeah, Friday at 4 p.m.
Well, Coach, again, good luck to your team. We'll be watching and hopefully talk a little bit more track and field and maybe even talk about a conference championship. We'll see.
Let's hope.
All right. Well, again, thanks for joining us. As we said, the indoor track and field season officially begins this Friday. That's the 19th at the Indiana Wesleyan Invitational. Start time 4 p.m. in the Troyer Fieldhouse. Well, that will do it for us on this episode of Wildcat Week. And if you'd like to watch more of Wildcat Week, you can visit our website, wiwtv.com. There you can see past episodes and connect with us online. Again, that is wiwtv.com. And you can stay connected with all our local programming by subscribing to our YouTube channel. That is WIWTV 51. Well, we look forward to seeing you next week. So for all of us here, thanks for watching Wildcat Week.